Hi, hello, buongiorno. My name is Annabelle from Annabelle Men's Antics, and for the last week I have been trying to do a photo shoot for my Ariel Little Mermaid costume. It has been a disaster. Every single day we have had thunderstorms, rain, the weather just keeps coming at us, but today, according to the weather reports, we are finally getting a break for about 2 or 3 hours, so we're going for it. I have already done my makeup, however, because it has been well over a week with this costume just kind of sat in the corner, the wig that I styled had to be put away because my room isn't very big, and so it needs redoing. But interesting fact here, which is that I'm currently in a power outage. I have no gas, I have no electricity, I have no hot water, I have nothing, so my usual method of styling wigs just isn't going to work, and unfortunately there is no one's house that I can go around to style this wig because, I don't know, it just seems like a weird thing to ask your friends, especially when most of them don't cosplay. Hey, can I come around your house to style a wig for a photo shoot that doesn't actually have to happen today, but it totally does because YouTube. So I decided to do some experimentation, and let's try and style this wig using only things that you can find around your house and that normally you would plug in, but I'm using batteries because my husband is a carpenter and I am lucky that we have a lot of batteries that will run most household things for at least an hour or so. So what are you going to need? Well, a comb or hairbrush would be a good start. I'm also using a wig head. It's one of these cheap plastic ones that I have stuffed with leftover pillow stuffing and wrapped a scrap bit of fabric around. However, you could always just put the wig on your head and style it that way, not using the method that I am about to show you because that would probably give you severe burns. A boiling kettle would be quite useful, but I am using my iron, and my iron, it goes super hot because it is industrial strength because I got very lucky at the scrapyard, but if yours doesn't go the hot, that is absolutely fine. And before we get styling, it is worth saying that wigs, or at least synthetic wigs, are made of plastic, and if plastic cools in a certain shape, it will normally try and stay in that shape, which is exactly what we are aiming to do. And with that, while I have no power, let's see if we can get on with this. Okay, so we have my wig on the wig head, which is taped to the desk because I don't have a stand for it, and this is the only way I can tug on it a little so I can work on it. Now on this I am using some sewing pins. All sewing pins I'm using are glass heads because the glass heads can take the heat, whereas plastic ones, they might melt, so keep that in mind. If you need to position some hair, use a sewing pin. There are proper head pins, but I don't own any, so sewing pins it is. With my iron, we're going to be using it for steam. I have got it set to synthetic because this is obviously a synthetic material. And then for the rollers, I am using scraps of cotton bedsheet. Highly recommend this, but do make sure you're using cotton because, again, synthetic, it might melt if you do it too hot. The wig can take a bit more heat than synthetic fabric can, but that's your choice. I highly recommend cotton bed sheets, and just get some from a charity shop and cut them up into strips. The first thing you really want to do is brush the wig so that it's nice and smooth. Because I'm curling it, I don't want to leave a bunch of fluff in the middle. To be fair, this wig is probably passable if I just styled the fringe, but because we've got time, we are going to give it a full brush through and just kind of neaten it up. Also with Ariel, I actually brought 2 wigs when I brought this one. The other one is currently in storage, but the reason I brought 2 is because I can see me doing a water photo shoot at some point, and I don't think salt water is going to like the wigs very much, so I have one to ruin with salt water and this one, which is supposed to be my nice one. We'll see how the styling comes out, eh? Now, this is only the second wig that I have ever styled. I don't think Vanessa's wig really counts because I essentially just gave it a really good brush and was like, that looks fine. The other wig that I styled was Aurora when I was updating the costume, and it went okay, but certainly not amazing. I'm not sure that's a video that's going to be out yet because I still have some updates I want to make, and I wanted to release the updating thing in one big hit. Now, it's also worth saying that these wigs, are falling off the head thing. Oh, and one last thing that you need that I forgot to mention is toilet roll, because what we're going to do is, as you can see, this is a curled wig. This wig, by the way, is literally just off AliExpress. It's really nothing special. It was expensive for a wig off AliExpress, but compared to like Arda wigs, it wasn't that pricey. What we're going to do is we're going to grab a ringlet, put the end of it in toilet paper, and what this will do is it will just make it easier for us to wrap the ring around the fabric. We're going to get my iron, which is set to steam. We're going to steam it, we're going to roll it, and this is actually how my nan taught me how to roll my hair, and we are just going to tie it off at the top. It doesn't need to be too tight, just tight enough that it's going to stay in place, and we're going to leave it like that, and then we're going to do the rest of the wig. Okay, so all of the back of the head is done. I'm going to give it a really good steam now just to try and keep everything in place, and then we're going to tackle the fringe. Ideally, I would be able to get around this side of the wig to do the fringe, but I can't, so I'm just going to kind of do it on a weird angle. And the idea is that we just want a fringe that is going that way, and then I will curl it the same as I've done the rest of it, just at the very end. Fingers crossed this works. I love how this was going to be a tutorial and it's just turned into a I'm experimenting, and come along with me to see how this goes. So what I've done is I've actually got my glass head pins and I am resting the hair over here. I'm hoping that it'll brush out really, really nicely. I've curled just the very end of the fringe. I'm probably going to need to put a hairpin in this side, but as you can see, it's gone from like laying back and having the really obvious widow peak to kind of nice. So I'm quite happy with that, which means there is one more stage of this to go. Now for this last stage, you're going to need a bin bag and some kind of heavy towel or blanket, because essentially, like I said, this is plastic. It's hair, but it's plastic. So if we heat it up and leave it to cool, it should stay looking like this. What we're going to do, and this is a trick that my friend pointed out when she was like, oh, what about those old like 1950s hairdresser things? You had the bag in your hair and then you just kind of left it. My bag's maybe a tiny bit small for what we're wanting here, but it should still do the trick. We're going to take our steaming device, my iron, we're going to put it under here, and we are going to fill this up. The reason we're using steam and not like a curling iron or anything like that is because steam will actually get in the hair, if that makes sense. The steam will actually get in the hair and inside the curls I've done and help set it. To be honest, all my wigs that I've worked on so far have been curly. I haven't had to do a straight wig yet. Put it harder into the handle. Tie this off to try and keep as much heat in there as possible. And then we're going to pop Ben's Snuggie over it. And then we're going to leave it to cool. Ideally, I would leave it to cool overnight, but I have actually got a photo shoot this afternoon, so we're probably going to take this out after about 6 hours, see how that goes. Oh, it's so warm. No hugging the wigs. It needs to cool down, and me hugging it will not help with that situation. Now for the moment of truth, let's take this off. So it is still a little bit damp. I can see why the recommendation is to leave it overnight. The fringe, however, looks amazing. God, if I had a hairdryer, like genuinely this would be perfect right now. It isn't so wet that I think it's all gonna fall out if I did take it out now. Not currently raining, so I might just open the window to get some fresh air in here and see if we can air dry this just a little bit more. Because once the curls are out, we are going to have to immediately put this on my head, and I don't really want a damp thing on my head. Really, I should have done this yesterday, but yeah, I wasn't feeling it. Okay, so I actually took a slightly different approach. What I've actually done is ranked the heating up to probably higher than is healthy for me. This is kind of in line with the heating. It's not perfect, to be fair. It's a little far away, but I can't move it because it's taped to the table, and we're going to try and dry it that way because outside is on and off raining, and my carpet is already really wet because the window is leaking, and I don't want it because the window is open as well, and we will see if we can get this done. Doesn't have to be perfect, but wearable would be nice. This is the moment of truth, Ben. Do we think this is going to work? Ooh, that is nice. So, is this wig perfect? No, definitely not, especially the first few curls I did. They just came out a little bit messy, which I think is because I rolled them the opposite way to how I normally do my curls for some annoying reason, but oh well. Otherwise, she looks really, really good. If I just run my fingers through her, she has a lot more bounce to her, which is nice. Fringe as well is looking very, very sweet, though I'm not going to take that out until it's probably on my head, I think. Overall though, for a wig that has been styled using no proper hairstyling tools and just a bunch of household goods, I would say this has come out very, very nicely and is a success. Though before I properly declare it a success, I think we need to do a photo shoot with it, so let's go to the beach as Ariel. And so I am coming to you in my egg form because we have just had the aerial photo shoot and oh boy did this wig do well. It held up really nicely, especially considering it was very, very windy out on the beach. It does look a little bit more tangled now, but I would say it's still wearable and it was incredibly comfy to wear. I did have to add a pin just to help support the fringe area, but other than that, it worked really, really nicely. It laid well. It looked as natural as a wig can look for someone who has not worn one all that much. And overall, I am very, very happy with it. So I would recommend styling your wig with no tools the way that I showed if you can. Otherwise, guys, if you found this video helpful, please drop me a like below. Comment with any questions that you may have and I will do my best to answer them, and otherwise subscribe for more cosplay content. I post videos every Wednesday, and until then, bye and have a beautiful day.